Karthik, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Anna.
How are you?
I am Helen Hardy, in front of you.
Good to know. Good to know. Good to have you. So, Karthik, before we start, I would like to know that about your childhood. How was your childhood? Where were you born and brought up? Let's start from there.
So I think I've been raised in a very mediocre family, nuclear family. My father, you can only imagine that he started working with one company and he retired with that one. Oh, that's what our family was.
But I think हमारी generation के fathers का ऐसे ही होता था. You start with one, you end with one.
No, but I still remember my family, chachas and all. They changed few jobs, but my dad was very happy with what he was doing and a very simple nuclear family. I was born in Amritsar, but in 1983, the Blue Start operation happened there. So we had to move from there. Oh, of course, I was just born there. And then we moved to Hisar, which is a small town west of Delhi. And we did pretty much my schooling there and in Delhi. But Delhi has been the home turf for last 35 years.
Okay,
Probably long, yeah. So yeah, it's nothing extraordinary, to be honest. Very normal, just like all fathers are. Probably that was the way, I would only reach out to him only when I wanted something, when I wanted a bat, or, if you wanted something special for your birthday. But yeah, it was a good nuclear family.
So you studied here. You were born in Amritsar, but then you moved to Hisar. Then from Hisar to Delhi, right? How old were you when you moved to Delhi?
I think I did my class 9th here in Delhi, from 9th onwards. So you can imagine 9 plus 3, about 12th in the evening.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
40 years.
And then you got married in Delhi.
Yes, I got married, and yes, after that everything has been Delhi. So before that also I was seeing my wife for a long time. We dated each other for a long time, and eventually, lucky, fortunate enough to get married also. And this after that, the entire life has been in and around Delhi.
So how was your relationship with your father? Or was it ki were you afraid of him, or it was more to do ki a friendly father, sort of a friendly father-son relationship?
Honestly, it was neither. I've never been, usually it was my mom who would do all the whacking. My mother never hit me. I think only just once when I hit my sister a little hard. But I don't have any strong memories of, of being afraid of him. But neither at the same time, not a very, very emotional relation. Father was a figure when you need something, when wanted that bat that you broke, when you wanted that bicycle. That is where I remember most of my discussion, my chats with father. But I think as I grew up, there are stronger emotions. There are other emotion that came in play. But as a child, it was a very very simple, clean, very mediocre kind of a relationship, nothing extraordinary. But as I said, as we grew, that's when the spectrum of emotions, it kind of increased.
Okay, okay. You said you had a love marriage. How long was the duration? How do you guys met?
Oh, sure. It was the first job. I had come out of a breakup already with my childhood love. And I was almost in a self-destruct mode. So I got this job with the call center, and I would work in day. I would do this, You don't remember you would go to petrol pump, take these jobs where you get some 70 rupees a day. So I would do those, make some decent money, and then, in the night I would get into a call center. This was just to kind of, get over with this childhood breakup that I had. Of course, there was a lot of drinking.
Keep yourself busy.
Yeah, just to keep myself busy and engaged. And that's when I'm a big sucker for emotions. So I thought I'm not gonna get into any relation now, but I think the same job I met Vidhu and I started liking her. And from there just evolved. I think we saw each other, we dated each other for good 7-8 years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I always tell Vidhu that married for much longer.
Yeah.
The dating is somewhere also
Yeah.
counts of
Yeah,
doing
definitely, definitely. Normally, what happens is कि जब एक लड़के का ब्रेकअप होता है, right? तो उसके जो दोस्त होते हैं, जैसे कि चल दारू पीते हैं, right? When your breakup happened, the first one.
yeah. But thank God that time the body allowed to all that. You couldn't, smoke and drink as much as you wanted, but I cannot imagine that doing now. Uh, but yeah, I was kind of fond of drinking at that time, and I think there was a lot of this self pity, some glory also hidden, some false ego, there, which somewhere, a very natural mechanism which we've grown up is, people drink and they kind of get into, a little bit of self abuse. But I think it was right probably then. But now when I look back, I think maybe
You laugh at it.
much better. Maybe a good book would have fixed me at that time.
Hmm.
But then, Vidu, I also see there's a reason why two people meet is because there's a beautiful life that you have to create. There's a whole journey ahead of you, and that is connected to where you are, and somewhere is coming from that past. So now when I look back, see the series of incidents, I see everything makes sense.
Hmm. So when, so you guys got married in which year?
I remember the year, but
But
I can get back to it. We've been married long.
we don't have to get back to, we have to get back to Vidu.
She'll get back.
I'm going to tell her that Karthik doesn't remember the anniversary.
2009, we got married. And we've been married long.
So then you remember, no, then why you're saying
No, it's what I meant. Confused between 9 and 90.
Acha, so it's been good to how many years? 2009.
Yeah.
So 10 and 6.
Yeah.
16 years.
16. So
And plus dating, 8 years.
this
24 years.
24
So you should celebrate Silver Jubilee now. Next year. Yeah. Now, when we met 6, 7 years back, the first time, right? I remember we were drinking, we were out, right? Everyone at your place.
Yeah.
And then we came out, we were having a conversation, and that time you told me about your daughter, your firstborn daughter, right? Would you like to talk about Ananda? How, what, when, what exactly happened with Ananda? And what was that phase like for you and Vidhu? If you can talk about it.
Yeah, so like everyone, we wanted to start a family. We waited for a good 5, 7 years. If you wanted to enjoy, see things, travel, you know, own a Harley, all those small aspirations, we had. So all that, I said, okay, now is the time, let's have a baby. And, by this time, the peer group is already, you can see, that their babies now, the next generation starts to come up. And just like that, we do concede, everything was just normal. And just one night, I just wake up and Vidu tells me that I think I'm bleeding. And I said, it's too early. I said, let's wait and watch what happens. And she said, no, this is different. There's a lot happening right now. So we immediately rushed to a nearby clinic. She said, go to your main hospital because they may have a nursery there. And I said, nursery? What are we talking about? And we are in, I think we were just in the beginning of our 7th month.
Okay.
And I had a completely different picture in my mind, a different script that I had in my mind that this is how, a child will come, because a typical, West Delhi scene is like, bacha hoega, everybody will get Gavadios, I'll be sponsoring booze and, so in my case, I had planned that I'll tell them, drink what you want to drink, just ask me to reimburse. So I had a very different script in my mind. And I think God had a different script. So we rushed to the hospital and they said that the baby has to come out now. The placenta is detached and that's why there's whole bleeding. And we're going to put her on quick steroids so that the child lungs develop and see. And the same day, Ananda was out. And I was just clueless of what was happening, pretty much numb at that time. And while I was responding, but I had no clue, no idea whether do I be happy, should I get mithai, should I wait, what happens. I yet had to, see the doctor. And next day, I told her she's early, she's in nursery, and she's fine. I also didn't know much. Few days, and while Vidhu could walk, and then she met the child, and I met the doctors. It was altogether a different story. She had a lot of congenital issues. She didn't even look, like a normal child. She looked extremely fragile, extremely small, very different facial features. Like it just shook us just then. And only thing I could just tell to myself is all is well, all is well. And the more time we spent with doctors, we got to know that this is not going to be a quick fix. Like usually kids are born premature and, they need 5, 10, 15 days of hospital care, maybe a month. And, the kid gets better, they become strong and then eventually go. So we thought that this is also going to be our, you know, our way, this is going to be our immediate future. But it was not like that. This battle was a very long battle. And as in more we spent time, child had a lot of issues where, she could not swallow anything. So very early we saw, a couple of feeding tubes going in the child. So we also saw other kids getting those tubes, but they were removed and soon they were sent to home. But we stayed back and we saw this for a good 3 months, where for first 90 days, we spent everything, every time that was spent was in hospital. The time was also working. So I had to go back. This is also time when there's no concept of paternity leaves. I think I get me over 5 days of paternity leaves. So though I work with a very good organization, but still work is work. My livelihood depends on it. So I started going back to work, and Vidhu would take care of Ananda at the hospital. Then I would come back from work from Gurgaon back to Shalimar Bagh, where our hospital was. Someone wise suggested that, I think the pediatric there, very good one. He suggested that maybe we should, have a small accommodation here, because it's going to be easy for mother to commute because she had to come express the milk and give to the child. As the child is not suckling, but still they want to feed the child through tubes, mother's milk, and which has to be done twice a day. So made sense to be near to the hospitals. We got a 1-room set there, and we spent again, good 90 days there. Imagine this as pretty much like a kutia, where you only have a small gas burner, a small cylinder. Only thing that we could cook there was heat milk and boil eggs. So that would be pretty much our diet. That we would just drink milk in the morning, have eggs, go see the child, understand, what is the line of treatment, and then come back, wait for the evening, and do the same thing again in the evening. And then eventually, some days you would go back to our Vikas Priyag. All this time I'm working also, so I'm going back to Gurgaon, doing all of that, and pretty much became a very flat, life. Of course, there was a lot of worry, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of tears. We could pretty much see our child going in front of us and then come back. So basically, she could not swallow, so her saliva only would stuck. Okay. So someone had to suction it out and revive the child again. Sorry. And that itself process was, when we saw it for the first time, we saw it quite early. We saw it on the 4th, 5th day only. This was not something that we've seen or heard of. We could also see her legs were completely bent upward. So, it was a very, very scary. Like for a lot of people, child is a bundle of joy, hold them, play with them. But she was so delicate with so much of wires and, needles and everything around her. Initially, she also had some support to make her breathe also. It all looked, very like an alien life. which you were just some scientists were trying to save. But then came a time where they said that, okay, we cannot keep her here forever. For simple financial reasons. We were spending almost 10,000 rupees a day. And second, the child is very prone to secondary infection because there are other kids who have, and there are a lot of people coming into the nursery. So they said the best care should be given at home because then it's just you and you can control the environment. So that's when they started training us how to keep Ananda, how to resuscitate her if she stops breathing, how to suction her up, how to put the NG tube, not put the NG tube. If she pulled it off, then what do you need to do? It's again a very careful thing because the child feed is going through this feed nose. There's a tube that goes from your nose.
Okay.
It has to reach to the stomach. That's where the fluid will go to the stomach. If it's pulled out, it could be halfway somewhere between your stomach and your mouth, though that could be somewhere in their lung. And if you feed then the milk will directly go into the lung and the child will just, you'll develop infection and it'll be like just sinking. Imagine that's what happens when you sink. The water goes into your lungs. So that's what happened. So we were with a lot of precautions and all that.
You had to learn all that. You and Vidhu had to learn
Vidhu
the entire process.
Absolutely. We had to go and buy a whole lot of medical supplies for our room to become a nursery, basically. So oxygen cylinders, the mats, the sheets, it had to be sterilized to a great extent. So basically brought the ICU care at home. So there were a lot of monitors which would monitor oxygen, her heartbeat, her pulse rate and all that. So we got these imported monitors. We rented. Some didn't work. Then we bought. That didn't work. Our doctor, leased his personal one for some time. So there would be one at home. There would be a mobile one, so that if we have to take her somewhere, then we would keep those monitors on her and then take her. We thought that this will never come in use. From 2 point of view, it would not come in use because she would, not last.
No.
Or it would not come in use because she would get better. So there were two ways that we thought, and all this time, well, we kept fluctuating in these two sides. What kept me going was so I follow Buddhism. I chant a lot. I follow the school of Buddhism, which comes from Japan. And that became my life raft, my life jacket. Not just what I read, what I understood from the literatures or from my chanting, but also from the environment of people which was around me, the community of people, which not even for a single second didn't let me sink in the self-pity. Because the constant guidance that I was given is that if this poison is there, if there's a karma in your life, then you must use this to make this something into better. So there's a saying called change poison into medicine. So for me, when I say poison is this karma, which I was into, which my family was into, and I only had to use this to become a better person, and become that emissary, to share this and show myself as a proof, of me being, able to do it. Then I kind of become that person who can tell this to others and listen, if I can do this, you can do this as well. So Buddhism kept me afloat, irrespective of the money that I have in my bank account. I made a good decent salary, MNC, good job, beautiful work-life balance and all that. But at the end of the month, I would still be left with few hundred rupees in my bank account every month. And even then, I knew that this is okay. I will still do something meaningful out of my life. It's okay. As long as I am alive, as long as I'm breathing, as long as I have my family and well, it is okay. Rest everything, I can accumulate later.
Yeah.
And beautiful people around me didn't let me sink at all. They said, keep at it, don't give up. This is the only way you can come out of it. So someone also gave me this beautiful, example is that imagine you're a soldier at the front and you are at war.
Yeah.
The bullets flying. Now either you can die as a coward
Kill or get killed.
or you die as a brave.
Yeah.
So I decided I might as well die as a brave, because if I'm brave enough to deal with this, if I'm resilient and strong, if at least I can be that, then maybe there's a chance that I can also win this.
Yeah.
But there is no winning if you are hopeless. So I think there was a lot of hope that was instilled in me through the practice, through chanting, to meeting, through the community of Buddhism. And from there, we got back Ananda home. Honestly, I remember coming with my brother-in-law in his Santro. With us, she'll not even last this car journey, which was of 1 hour.
Sure.
मुझे था कि it's like bringing a small flame at home. Even a small whiff can just extinguish it. So I thought that that was a story script in my mind. Let me bring her and will happen. But again, as I said, it was a different story altogether. And we got her back and we started giving her care. We would have this doctor who would visit us every week. We would get her NG tube changed every week. We would, get her. So for that, we had to take her to the hospital again. So we would carry all those apparatus with us, oxygen cylinder, the oximeters, all that. We would, bring all that, carry with us, and go to the hospital. People would just look at us, oh, what is this whole entourage of people, going, and thanks to the doctors, they really gave us a very special treatment, because they knew this was a very special child, a very unique situation that we were in, and this kept on for a very long time. By all this time, she would still choke. We would still put suctions in her mouth, suck her out, and bring her back. So this would happen at least initially some 90 times a day. 90 times a day. And Vidu would take care of most of it, because she was the person spending most of the time. I would come back from work and I would take my night watch, because that's the time she would take some rest. Of course, my mother also helped me in this while, but what you can do, only you can do.
Yeah.
Because what's in for you. So completely sleep deprived, lost weight. I mean, I don't want to say it, maybe you can edit this, but during those 9 months, I never had erection. I mean, that was the state. That it is just like a mission. It's just a very robotic that I have roles to fulfill, I have jobs to do.
Yeah.
And there was certain part of brain which was shut off, which didn't even, like, I'm full of drinks, but I don't remember if, I drink. Like, I remember once I had gone to get her monitor fixed. So there's a guy that I wanted to, so he said, so, bhaiya, beer piyoge? So I said, if you will have it, maybe I'll have a glass. So I like that. And there also I use that, meeting to, build a rapport with him, so that, I can, if there was any emergency with the equipment, so there's just more for social take with them. But this kept on for almost till about 6-9 months of her age. So of course the episodes subsided, but the tube remained. And we thought ki aaj hategi, kal, parso, kabo, it just kept on, pushing the timeline and all that. But we finally hit that spot where she stopped desaturating, where she could actually manage her own saliva and her own secretions. This was not something external, it was just her own secretion that would just choke. And finally that stopped. And that's when doctor said that कि बच्चा दूध पे तो नहीं रह सकता हमेशा, so इसको सरल चाहिए, बनाना चाहिए, or she needs other semi-solids चाहिए. So I said, वो कैसे करेंगे? So they said that there's something called PEG, where we do a small hole in the stomach, and you can it's very safe. It's a small surgery, and you basically we will have food and you can just simply inject it. So I thought कि अच्छा peg थोड़ा hidden सा होगा, but वो peg hidden नहीं था, वो इतनी लंबी tube थी उसके साथ में बाहर, and they were silicone outside. So when Ananda became a little grown up and more sustainable, she would hold that thing in her hand and tug it. And it was nice because it's attached to your stomach. So we got that surgery done. उसके भी अपने challenges थे that what would happen is that because the child is growing, there would be fat that would accumulate around the surgery opening. So every week we had to go to a surgeon to get that removed, that extra flesh that came out removed, and scary, painful also for the child, but had to be done. And then they would just put some kind of a dressing, and then you're good for a good 10-15 days, because childs are at this time are growing very fast. So there's a lot of skin layers which are barely. So all that would accumulate around the peg. Oh, wo hua all this time. Ananda is growing. And we become complete island in ourselves. Island also functions. It is far from the land, but it has its own environment, its own ecosystem, it has its own animals. So we had our own life. Not as pretty as, not as joyful as others, parents, but we were functioning. We would have our own moments of joy. We would have first time when she smiled. We had those things, and she did something, both that became a thing. So she would do ah, 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 all those, those things which parents are related with the kids. So she would do, so all those were beautiful memories, milestones, and but not a very social life, because we had to keep the child, in a certain environment where, she doesn't catch his infections and all that, because she's very prone to it. Her immunity is practically nothing, and because every time when we're feeding, the something or the other would regurgitate, would come up, like बच्चों को जैसे डकार burp ही आया, वो burp would be lethal for her, because if milk comes up, she doesn't know how to put it down, so it would go in her lung, and that means infection, that means antibiotics, that means hospitalization. So we had several ICU episodes just like this, that she would have severe chest infection, and she had to be put on ventilator. So for a regular child, it is, few injections and drip and here and there. Our thing was that she had to be put on ventilators and on till the time the infection would subside, her lungs would become better, healthy. She would be put on, respiratory support. And this happened few times. Once it happened when we got her peg removed and got a new one installed, because this was a very long one. So, I mean, not to get into detail, but we put a small one, which so that it doesn't look like, otherwise when we used to carry a child, the tube would be out. When it becomes a little bit of, you become eyeball magnet for people. So we thought, okay, let's get a better one done. So one episode of ICU happened during that time, because she refluxed and the milk went into her lungs and she had to put on an ICU. Then something like this happened again. Just like that, she fell sick and she was again in ICU. Meanwhile, we kept doing what made sense at that time, whatever support therapy we could give, whether it was physiotherapy. We got into something called acupuncture. That we thought helped her at that time, because she had a very poor muscle tone. And somewhere all of this was a feature of muscle tone only, that, muscles didn't know how to swallow. So we got into this acupuncture, and very painful for a parent to see. I don't know how painful was it for the child, because she could never express it. But again, hats off, to that institute, who was treating her, and we could see some changes coming in the muscle tone. We could see, she had a hip displacement issue also. Okay. When I said now legs were bent, so usually hips are in the sockets. So sometimes because the child is in a certain position, the hips are dislocated. So we kept doing a lot of physiotherapy for the hips and all that. And I think there was an issue. There are orthopedic, but there are very few pediatric orthopedics who would understand and know, issues like this. So a lot of time went into finding the right doctors. Yeah. And thankfully, I think thanks to the good fortune that I was accumulating and people around me, I was always able to find the right doctor. Like one in Medanta who did a peg, one in Sadarjung who was an expert in pediatric ortho. Like usually kids do have such porous bone, it doesn't come on X-ray, so you have to do an ultrasound for the hip. अब अल्ट्रासाउंड टेक्नीशियन को अल्ट्रासाउंड तो करना था, पर उसको समझ में नहीं आता कि एनाटमी क्या है हिप की सॉकेट की, तो डॉक्टर को ही देखना पड़ेगा. सो वेरी फ्यू पीपल who knew an ultrasound on a hip of a child, and a doctor who could, an orthopedic who could read and understand that. In fact, our medical knowledge became so advanced that sometimes the hospital would call us and say that there's another child. Which doctor did you see for something like that? Which one did you meet for her, oral cavity, or which one did you meet for her hip? Which one did you meet for peg? And we would often be sharing these numbers with them. And we felt that it was our responsibility to help every parent who was struggling at that time. My wife would just look at any child, and if there were some features in the child that looked like, there's some syndrome or anything, she would start conversation with that parent. And eventually the parent would open up, and she would, then eventually also tell that, maybe meet this doctor, maybe meet that, maybe get that acupuncture done and all that. But all this happening, and one fine day again, Ananda is coughing, and her bouts of cough are much longer, and she's coughing very, not normal cough. It's just not subsiding. Besides, putting on meds and all that. And it was almost 5 o'clock in the morning as the sun came up, 5 or 6. I told Vidu ki, enough, अब ले चलते हैं इसको हॉस्पिटल. Because हमें पता था हॉस्पिटल जाएंगे तो हम एडमिट होंगे. हॉस्पिटल मीन्स एडमिट. So I said, let's get it done. So we go and we meet the doctor, and Vik tells us that let's do an X-ray quickly. उसको लगा कि चलो थोड़ा सा स्टेरॉइड देंगे and कंजेशन होगा, मे बी ठीक हो जाएगा. But nothing like that. आनंदा के साथ कुछ भी छोटा नहीं होता था. And we found that her entire one lung was collapsed. Okay. How it happened, no clue. And they said that this needs immediate. I said, we know the drill. We took her to the pediatric. Earlier, she would be in a neonatal ICU. This time, this was pediatric. Okay. She was 2.5, almost 3 this time. And
She was 3 years.
she was almost 3 or 2 years, 9 months. And we again got her into the hospital, and they put her on a ventilator. And graph came up and down and up and down. And once again, we knew the drill. We would pack our bags, keep one bag in the car, keep one handy. Parents know the food we'll be making. I know the hospital staff. I know the billing. The worst calls were from the TPA because paise. And I knew ki karna to hai hi. So, insurance would go to a certain amount, right? After that, you start putting your own money. So, like a lot of heaviness in the hospital. That smell of hospital itself, even if when I go today, it just takes me back to the time. And we kept doing what doctors were saying. And they said, let's wait and watch. It will get better. There would be times she would get better. They would take her off, and, sedation would come down and ventilator settings were reduced. And we could see she's moving and all that, her eyes opening. But again, very uncomfortable. And doctor said that she's not improving that much as I was expecting. So we're not out of danger yet. A few more days. Let's give her 2 more days and let's check. And 2 more days, and again this thing, And by this time, we have complete faith on our doctors. There's a lot of people who doubt doctors. We were never those. We thought that if this person has come in front of us, it has come for a reason. Like I thought it from that point of view, that because I was chanting and I was very diligently practicing, and I started believing in that whatever that is happening is part of my universe. It is there are my ingredients. This recipe that I'm having, there are ingredients of my life. You cannot make another dish out of it. This is a dish I have to make, I have to eat, I have to live with.
Yeah.
So I very got beautiful faith, and that way the doctor was also nice. That somewhere the industry gets a little bit of they get rebuked that doctors paisa hai and all that. We kept all that side. I said paisa pusa baad mein first child and all that, but with the grace, with the good fortune, we never came across someone who would use this to make money. But I think this was now day 12 in ICU.
Okay.
And the Shera was coming, and Ananda was born on the Shera. So the Shera की dates आगे पीछे होती रही थी. It was not a birthday, but the Shera.
हिंदी तिथि के साथ
The Shera. And it was Navami. Navami morning, I get a call from my pediatric. He said, come to hospital, but don't rush. He said, yeah. Don't rush, don't drive, take a cab, and just come around. So I knew what he was telling me. And I told Vidhu, I said, chal, I said, doctor want to meet us. He said, kya hua? I said, things, we used to keep getting these calls. Raat ko 10-12 baje, kuch episode hua bacche ko, we are giving this treatment, so we need your consent. So a lot of these consent calls, so we've never got scared, call aa gaya raat. But this time I thought maybe they need some more, something. Sometimes we knew more about the child. So maybe they wanted to inquire also. Some new stock comes in, so you wanted to know something, they would pay. We said that please call us. Hame pata hai zyada. And I remember I opened my Butsudan and I chanted for some time, and I wrote opening of my eyes, as if till now I was just living a dream, but my real life starts now. And we drove, and all this time I was crying and chanting. And we said, don't be so pessimistic. Matlab, you're always like this. I say, yeah, sorry, I think too much. And we went and we saw, and she was very calm. And Vidhu couldn't figure this out. She looked at me, say, is she gone? I said, yeah. Oh, so we did our rites and everything. Paid the hospital bills. Came back home. And we just didn't know what to do. Blank. Just blank. People are coming, talking. By this time, the smart people didn't ask what happened, because we know what happened. Smart people just came, sat, hold my hand, and give me a hug, and maybe cried with me. And all this time, I knew that I had to move on quickly. इस दौरान में गाड़ियाँ वाड़ियाँ बेच दी थी. We also bought a house during this time. So there was a lot of challenges. Universe also presented us with a beautiful house, which was right under my parents' house, where we could all be together, and Ananda could move around and do things. It was an empty house though, but share our own space, because ऊपर एक ही घर में कितना कुछ आप घुसा लोगे. So a lot of things also happened. My first international trip happened during that time. I went to US for the first time during that time. My work travel opened up. I got a promotion during that time. I got spot bonuses at that time. So and I see that all that as a byproduct of all the labor that we were putting in for our child. And labor is not just at home, but it's also reflecting in your own character at your work. I mean, you're tired in both contexts, but you still have to look at your child. Similarly, you still have to look at your work.
Yeah.
You still have to look at your, my Buddhism. So I kept exerting in all these directions to the best of my ability. What was my best? Nobody knew. Even I didn't know, but I knew that I have to push myself. I cannot, if I like your sharks, if they stop swimming, they sink. So I had to keep pushing myself in all these directions. That's when some physical rewards came in, as I said, in form of house, international travel, sport bonuses, promotions. Uh, I remember I was even awarded as the most coveted player in the office Olympics. Then I was even pushing myself there also. Okay, if this is what I have to do it to my best. And I think that's it. It's the phase that has made me what I am today. And suddenly the money also came in because maybe it was a function that we were not spending so much now on medical supplies. We would spend so much on medical supplies, forget the medical fees. Many times doctors would not even charge us. Many times we went to Gangaram and we met a doctor, a very known doctor there. She was like, so, but then so I said, it sold off my car and all that. So I wanted that now we have to go out. It was very important for Vedu because I still had my Buddhism to surround me. She had Numa. And what kind of damage, what kind of drama it unfolds in a woman is very different from a man. Now, I'm a half woman in a way that I'm very emotional. Like, we think that women are emotional, men are strong, but I think in our case, we both are equally emotional. And maybe I think I'm a little less stronger than what we do. Because she never gave up. Like, even the last day, she was saying, we'll sell our house. I said, what are you talking about? This is all I have. This is all what we have. We have lies, She said, so what? We'll make another house. We'll live in a smaller one. We'll move somewhere cheaper. And I could not understand that spirit. But I understood it that day, because the next day Ananda was not with us. But when that day I got this realization that I will give my everything. There were only few FDs left in our account by that time. So I went into my app that night and I opened those FDs because I would have to give a fresh, line to the TPA and, get them going. That situation never came. So finally, that FD money, I thought we need this. We do need it more than anything. So we went and bought a car. So we lost Ananda on Dashmi. I thought ki jaise mata aati hai, so now she's gone, and Vidu really believes in Navratras and all that. She keeps all her Navratras and all that. So she also understood that ki, Ma came and Ma went. So I said, now what is next thing? How do I bring her out of this? So we go and buy a quick car. I've already made up my mind. And I said, now let's start traveling, Vidu. Let's go out. Let's go to, wherever we want to go. Made a quick trip to McLeodganj. I remember Vidu ki shakal har jagah utri hui hai. It like I'm still getting better, but if I take you on my timeline in my Facebook somewhere, you will see that there's something absent in her. Like she's looking at the camera, but this
She's not happy. She's not there. She's not there.
sad. She's flat. There are no smiles.
Physically she's there, but emotionally she's not there.
And I said, yeah, this is not good. And of course, what's the next thing that she wants? She wants to become a mother again. She wants to get back to life, and then we do another trip to Sri Lanka. Ki chal, let's do something more. This is slightly better because there's some gap, some time is coming. But ऐसा कोई दिन नहीं हुआ जिस दिन आनंदा के बारे में सोच के हम रोए ना हो। एटलीस्ट पहले 1 साल के। लाइक आई वुड get up in the knee and check, oh, guy has, oh. I think this stayed with me for almost a year. That me getting up in sleep and वही होता था कि वो है गिर and then we met our doctor and said that, Vivian, what's next? He said, oh, hold on. Don't do it now. He said, we don't know, buddy, what happened to the child. So we need to know what happened so that we can watch for those things. I said, oh, there's another curveball coming my way. I thought this is going to be now straightforward. Now there's again a lot of doubt coming in. And how? So we pick up a different gynecologist this time, a very renowned gynecologist from Gangaram. And
so this is when you were planning to have a second child.
For a second child, we thought that let's think of a second child. So first thing we said, okay, let's meet a gynac. So when we used to travel, Ananda ke saath, we used to travel with her history and discharge summaries and like this much of a document.
So you traveled with Ananda to places?
Oh yeah, like not travel outside, but local. Yeah, like we took her to Ludhiana in a car. That was also a very difficult trip because she got diarrhea and she would not just improve. Like such bad diarrhea that she had rashes all over her hip and all that. But just once we traveled, but even if we would travel with our entire dispensary, with our entire everything, like more than my bag, there would be, her bag, her bags, tubes, NGs. We would check the nearest doctor to that place. If let's say she pulls out her NG tube, yes, I knew how to put it back, but I would not take a chance. I would want to take her to a pediatric and let him put the tube. So we would also carry spare tubes with us. And wherever we go, like in this case, we would check if there's any pediatric who can do that. So our relatives would do a check and tell them, inform them that something, and then says, okay, yes, we will be available if something like that comes. So just one. So we understood that traveling with her was not recommended. So eventually with the second one, that's what things fell in place, but the doctor didn't give us green signal. He should try now because they wanted to figure out what was wrong.
So, sorry to interrupt, but you said that Ananda was premature, right? But was there syndrome?
We couldn't figure out. Uske gene error mein to nahi aaya.
Okay.
So sometimes kids cannot have syndrome because uske stomach जो जब बच्चा मुंह में होता तब भी आप डाउन सिंड्रोम और 1-2 मेजर सिंड्रोम्स टेस्ट करा सकते हो जो हमने कराए थे. It was normal. It was something that happened to her in the process while she was in the womb.
Okay.
Like there's a process of becoming from a embryo to a live human being, right? In the process, there could be some other issues, some local issues, maybe something in the body, something in the child in itself, some position where she was trapped into. She had these amniotic bands. We were told that sometimes these amputations can happen silently in the womb. In her case, it did not amputate, but her arm was almost sewed here as she was born. So the doctors basically viewed it together. So maybe somewhere that amniotic band held her in a certain position which didn't bring the natural mobility in the child. Maybe that position where she got stuck, formed certain, atrophy in the muscle. So I said, there's a lot of speculation on it, but she did not have those Down syndrome. That something what happened to her was local.
Okay.
In the womb while coming up. And a lot of that happened after when she was out because then she would have a lot of kids are born premature.
Yeah.
Not everyone is like
Even Ravi is premature.
There you go. She's a beautiful person.
Yeah.
what happened that in her case, because of the desaturation means oxygen not going to your brain also. That could also create some other kind of, challenges in the brain, which could affect other things.
And they were
not
not able to give signal to the body. Yeah, so
that could also lead to other developmental delays and issues. It was not the primary problem, but the secondary problem of when oxygen doesn't reach brain, then what does brain do? But so doctor said, we want to figure out. So I said, that test is a very simple one. You need to go like more detailed. तो बोले पहले तो अपना कराओ. I said, okay, हम अपना कराते हैं. I was clean. विदु का कोई एक जीन थोड़ा सा कोई हिला हुआ था. तो बोले यार ये नॉन कंक्लूसिव है. We need to do a lighter, slightly more detailed one on Vidu, and we have to do it on the child. I said, child तो doesn't exist. बहुत पहले किसी ने बोला था कि इनका स्टोरेज करा लो, so I had got her stem cells stored when she was born. It seemed waste at that time, but the doctor asked her that, did you do that? I said, yeah, we did that. He said, we can get it. And again, this is how universe helps you. We got this beautiful doctor from AIMS, जहाँ पे सालों appointment नहीं मिलता. We got a quick appointment with her. And she said that she was a genetic expert. And she's the one who got her gene heritage done. And she said that we can do this on the DNA that we can extract from her stem cells. Make her stem cells. She said, must be stored somewhere. I said, yeah. So then we called the stem cells. They came from Bangalore. Straight away to the AIMS lab, where they extracted the DNA out of that and did some basic gene array test. But वो DNA ठीक नहीं हुआ. Then they did again. And they did some tests. And they found something. But that something did not correlated with her actual conditions.
okay.
They said that it is inconclusive because clinically and this have to correlate. They said, then maybe we need to do a deeper one. I said, for what not to do? So then said, okay, do another bigger gene array. And this one is now sent to US. The report comes out of good 14, 20 days. And then we got the reports and we thought that, okay, she didn't have those issues. So we were given a clean sheet. Okay, please go and now you can plan a child. But pressure में कुछ नहीं होता यार. So Vidu and me were under such immense pressure कि बस कल हो जाए, कल like this time. We try and the next time she should not get a period like that. That was the whole approach. You were क्या हुआ कि first time में ही her periods were slightly delayed. So I said, yeah, how that it. But like, nobody gets in first go. But I think it was just a delay. And she got a period and we were so disheartened. This was the first attempt. So there is so much of pressure building, andar hi andar. How do we get back? How do we get back?
But was there also fear
Fear came later.
when you were
eventually conceived.
Yeah.
Because, man, I was the best person on the earth. I did not want it to harm a feather or harm a bird. Like, because someone who believes in karma can get into this notion that I must do everything right that I can do. I cannot falter. I cannot create any negative causes in this life. And but इसके आगे भी एक drama हुआ that I was diagnosed with some issues. There's something called Raynaud's where your fingers freeze, the circulation stops. So and I had also gone into a depression. I didn't realize that I was in depression.
I know the feeling.
I was just too much doing things that I didn't know that actually I was, getting depressed more and more. And I eventually, had to treat it. I didn't go to a allopathic doctor, but we took a homeopathic treatment for this. I took that one. And the doctor said, yeah, तू अगले 2-3 महीने तो सोच मत. Don't come out of this mind. He said, even if you want to, libido is not there. I can tell you, you don't feel like. I said, yeah, I mean, I don't feel like making love. And by then I'm very opposite. I'm very active in my mind. But he said, nahi yaar, don't do it as of now. Just wait for some time. Get better in your head. And I kind of believe in that because it's a life you creating with your own mind, body, blood, soul. It is you that's creating that life. So you need to be in that phase. So then this whole thing came up of Raynaud's. So he said, let me fix this. Again, I went into certain medication. Nobody told us, but I said, no, I'm not going to try at this time because God knows what kind of medication I am on. Blood thinners and all that. So I said, no. That's another journey, another challenge that I overcame mentally and emotionally. And today I just tell myself that I'm just allergic to cold. That's all. That's how I've made this into my mind thing that it's nothing. I'm just sometimes allergic to cold. That's all. And finally, we try, and Vidhu is happy that something has happened. And by the way, this was one of our very bad sex, but we still conceived.
Yeah.
So somewhere I give it to that doctor, that homeopathic, because somewhere these medications, they do work. It's not just about the quantity of sperm, the quality of the sperm and all that. So I think, and I said, no, not possible. That kind of action, I don't think. She said, I said, wow, a beautiful sigh of relief. But at the same time, COVID came in. This was February.
So you got to know in February
and
2020.
Yeah, and March was lockdown.
Yeah.
And I said, nahi yaar. So I made sure that I keep myself on the right path, a path that is creating value for self and others. If I'm doing that, then I'm creating good cause. And if that is my script, then that is my script. So I again got into this spiritual high with my practice. Because now COVID had come in, people were dying. We all know, you all have lost someone in their way. And I just really brought my A game of really creating value. Even if we were in lockdown, I was doing Zoom calls with kids, Zoom call with members, working on Zoom, taking care of parents, living upstairs, did everything that was right. And then left it to the faith that jo hoga, wo hoga. You can't do more than that. But I became a very good version of myself at that time. And COVID was lethal. We lost family members. But I kept, my faith didn't move from that point of view. And eventually time came, it said, oh, pick a date for a child. I said, this is happening. And they said, cesarean hi hoga, pick a date and time. So we picked the date and time. Just me and Vidhu, we drove to the hospital. Usually hota hai, family and all that comes in and everyone. But because this is COVID, wave 2.
So April next year.
Yeah, like October, Veeraditya was born. And
October 19th.
October 19th, during the Sharas.
Same time.
As if, the God was returning, a fortune child, but this time absolutely healthy, touchwood, beautiful child. मैं देखा, मैं कहा यार, ये तो बड़ा सुंदर है. And they said, we need to keep the child in ICU for 1 day to monitor. I said, I know it all. Watch him, keep him there.
तो वैसे भी रखते हैं, एक दिन 24 hours they keep it. Yeah.
So I said, वो बोले, मैंने कहा क्या हुआ बच्चे को वैसे? इसे नहीं थोड़ा बच्चे का थोड़ा ऑक्सीजन है. मैं कहा डिसैचुरेशन है क्या? तो डॉक्टर साहब आपको कैसे मालूम? I said, is it a desat? He said, no, it's not that. But it's just that we want, certain rhythm to come in, which usually comes within 6-8 hours. So I said, yeah, okay, absolutely fine. I mean, the doctor was surprised by my medical knowledge at that time. So I think उसको लगा कि अब पूरा दिन नहीं 8 घंटे भी भेज दिया उसने उसको. And then this beautiful journey started, all new chapter. All that I missed, all that I got back. There's a saying, the people who suffer the most will also enjoy the most, because I've seen that side of father who did not get anything back from the child. There was way less. There was all, of course, we loved her, but I'm saying all those small,
Small moments, small.
there's a word, no, small mercies. बच्चा हंस रहा है, खेल रहा है, भाग रहा है, दौड़ रहा है, पहली बार कुछ तोड़ेगा, पहली बार बोलेगा, वो सब they were all missing. So
It was one-sided.
so it was a lot of love one-sided, and so for someone to be on that side really knows what is the value of
What is the value of
a lot of fathers. Of course, Veeraditya was born. There were no champagnes, there were no whiskeys. Of course, there was COVID. But I knew that there was a different sense of celebration
this time?
to come this time. And that celebration was purely from a lot of gratitude, to the friends, members, to my mentor, who kind of have from one extreme to another. And I think I always said this, that there is no happier father than me in Vikaspuri. I could say this for Vikaspuri because that's where I come from. I couldn't say this for Delhi. But I used to very openly say this in my meeting, my Buddhist meeting, that I'm the happiest father. Because for me, that susu potty is so much of joy.
Yeah.
That burp is so much of joy. That ulti is so much of a joy. That taking for a vaccination is so much of a joy. One the time हम डरते थे vaccination के लिए because पता नहीं
कहीं इन्फेक्शन कुछ और ना हो जाए, कोई और कैसे रिएक्ट कर.
environment में जाने के ही हम डरते थे because child can get so much of secondary infection. Everything imagine becoming joy. And that's where, that is how I tell him he's a fortune child. And I've really spent such quality time with him is because I know what is the value of this time. Because I've seen that side, so I know what is this side. And so I then go extra mile to be with him, to be his, papa around him, to be his problem solver. Sometimes just be with him and just see him breathe easily. Sometimes just lie next to me and I can smell his breath. Every minute, every second spent with him is pure joy because of Ananda's journey. I know how significant this is. Like I remember the first time where he came. So Ananda never breastfed.
Yeah.
She was given breast milk, but she never lied on to her mother. तो वीरादित्य पैदा हुआ और पहले दिन ही nurse कहती कि okay, yeah, give him a feed. And I'm looking at her. I said, how is that possible? Because मेरे दिमाग में एक concept exist ही नहीं करता कि बच्चा, मैंने दुनिया को देखा कि बच्चे आते ही struggle करते हैं, but it was just something which was so
alien for you. Yeah.
And Vidhu took him in a lap and took him to the breast and he just lashed. Oh my God. I mean, it was a moment. अब किसी के लिए क्या है? Like for a regular, father, it could be a regular thing. Maybe for a father who's a secondary father would be even more normal. कि हाँ बच्चे तो दूध पीते हैं ना, बट मेरे लिए तो वो चमत्कार से कम नहीं था, बिकॉज आनंदा की तो प्रॉब्लम थी कि वो कभी शकल नहीं कर सकती थी, एंड हियर इज ही ऑन डे वन अंदर से सीख के आया हुआ है. तो देन आई रियलाइज दैट चाइल्ड वाज रियली you know difficult for her to be in that environment. Someone could not even suckle, then how difficult. But so that's when we said that maybe this is the life I have to live. That's what it is. And that's when, raising Veer Aditya, has become pure joy. And I'm a very diligent father. Though Vidu still has, has some areas where I can improve, which I think we all can.
Yeah.
We all can improve. There is nothing which is perfect. So we can only get better at what we're doing. And I try to give my best to him. I'm a good father. At least I can say that I'm a good father. I'm a strict father too. It's not that he gets what he wants, but I'm strict when it's required to be strict. I'm softy when it's required to be. But yeah, it's a very special bond that I have with him.
So, Kartik, I want to know, because you talked about karma, that when you got to know that you guys have conceived again, you did all the good karmas, though it was COVID, but you did all the karmas, and you also talked about destiny. So, as per you, what do you believe in the most, karma or destiny?
So it's a slightly more complex answer. It's not this or that. Maybe it's a bit of both. What I for sure believe in is that I have a mission. My mission is to create value for self and others. In this mission, this realization just doesn't happen by switching the button on or off. This realization happens when you go through the ordeals of life, and then only this mission becomes clear, visible. Otherwise, it doesn't. So in my case, the whole chapter of Ananda was me realizing that what is this true purpose of life? So that is one. Now, whatever that I do, it creates a future for me. So from that point of it, that is pure action. But what has happened has been my destiny.
Yeah.
So I'm not debating the past. I'm only working at today as how I can be a better person in this environment. How can I respond better? How can I be a better father? How can I be good at health? How can I be a great husband? How can I be a better son? So for me, the battle is every day in maintaining this path, which is very self-correcting, which is very, how do I say, it's a path of being honest to yourself. And how do I tell myself that if I'm honest or not? Is by looking in the mirror and telling yourself that, was I right today? Was this right? So there has to be some process which keeps this autopilot, on. And for me, my autopilot is my practice.
Okay.
So because I practice, I can see my doings. I'm the first person to go and apologize. Because the moment I will get up in the morning, I'll fold my hands in reference and I chant, I can see what am I doing. It's like cleaning the mirror. I can see a clearer version of myself every day when I go and do my morning, evening chant. So every time when I do this, I clean this so that this visibility on what I'm doing. So then I know what I should not be doing.
Okay.
And then I clearly also know what I should be doing. Sometimes we do not have strength or courage to do it. For example, an extreme office situation requires me to behave in a very different way. which is going to require a lot of courage for me to go and even if I know, there's a lot of, negative coming my way, I still have to go and accept and then still do what is asked of me to do, deliver, be right, and, do all that. So I'm saying there is this constant battle happening in daily life. And it's about winning these small battles every day, which makes you better future. So for me, past is my destiny. Whatever has happened because I had to be here for you and me to talk like this and share this with you, and maybe also go back and realize that maybe there's something more that I can do. And nothing gives more joy than this, because I've seen it's the life state that matters. It is not like you always, these lovebirds, unke paas paise nahi honge jeb mein, they'll still be happy with each other.
Yeah.
They'll be happy in holding hands for a bike. Paise nahi hai, wo nahi hai, nahi hai, tab bhi khush hai. So what is that? It's a feeling that you're carrying inside. It's a life state. It's a life condition that you're carrying. So for me, I think having that life condition is something that gives you the right output. So, so to answer that question, is it karma or destiny? I think it's both. Okay. It was destiny for me for all that has happened, but I still have to decide what's going to happen for me tomorrow. And therefore,
So for that,
right
today your
causes.
karma has to be right, so that your future destiny should be.
You have to create the right causes for the right effects to manifest. Otherwise, this pool of good fortune will dry out very quickly.
Yeah.
It will dry out quicker than I'll imagine. But then also, what does one do at that time is again go back and stick to your basics and understand that this life is very precious. It cannot just go in vanity. It just cannot go in how do I say, in enjoying the perks of life. It has to be used in the right way. And then only you can have the sustainable happiness. Otherwise, it will come and go. But if you really want, a long-term, happy, rich life, rich at heart, then you must be in constant in the sphere of that value creation. And I think that's where I see my future.
Okay.
Will depend on what I do now.
Okay. So Karthik, when between Ananda and Veeraditya, right? A lot happened, right?
Yeah.
But when something happens to a child, it also takes a toll on the couple, on their relationship, right? To a level that when they feel that they are not even connected to each other, or the love has lost, or there's no connection. Did that happen with you?
Yeah. Although I'm no alien, so I'm defined by law of gravity and other laws. So I think me and Vidhu, it was a very, very difficult patch in between, because there was no purpose for us, or maybe we thought we lost our purpose. There's a lot of blame. There's a lot of things which were said, which I thought maybe it was my mistake. End of the day, what's happening inside a child can be understood as a function of how you're feeling. So there was a bit of disharmony in family, which also nudges us in a direction that maybe this happened because of certain disharmony in the family. In living with parents, things happen. The salvo thing always happens. We all know men get sandwiched in this.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe did I not take a stand? Did I take a stand? Now, when all of the dust is settled, that's when, or how do I say, in the postmortem of all this, there were a lot of questions which were thrown at me, which were not easy to answer to a mother who lost a child. And by far, they should have not come, but there were these huge skeletons, huge elephants in the room, rather, had to be addressed. And we had a fallout. In fact, we had to go to a marriage counselor.
Okay.
During this time, COVID time, pre-COVID, maybe. Yeah, I think around COVID, because these could happen over a video call. And they spent a lot of money there. So it's a process that you have to do this. Otherwise, you would not know was that the answer for your problem or not.
Sometimes I feel that, when a couple fights or when they start to blame, both of them, they know that they are wrong, but it's the ego that somehow affects the decision that they take. So all the other things they say, and at the heat of the moment, they want to say things to hurt the other person. But when you meet a marriage counselor or you meet a third person, it can be anyone, your friend, family, anyone. That person hears your side of the story and your partner's side of the story, and then they bring the perspective that listen, here you were wrong, listen, here you were wrong. Then that's when you get self-realization that, okay, maybe I was wrong, maybe I should have reacted a different way. So this is my
So absolutely well said, because the counsel can only take you to a point where you start looking inward.
Yeah.
So in our case, I think it definitely happened that we both started looking inward to address the issue which was between us. And it still comes up. It's like, how do I say, if you have cancer, you're always worried, right? You're always sometimes scared that it can always come back. So we're also, careful of not to bring a marriage to a point, where
there's no going back.
Yeah, I mean, and now honestly, with Veer Aditya, I've become the other way. I know there is no other way, because it will be very unfair on my part for him not to have a mother like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying worst case scenario also. Now the scenario is not playing in my head. It may come and go. It may, come at you. Fuck, I should have an affair outside and like, chill. But I'm just saying that it dies very quickly.
Yeah.
Because it is only because of, it is not fair, for the child, to go through this. And it is not now from Vidu's perspective. It is for the love of Veer Aditya that I have.
Yeah.
That for me, this scenario does not exist. So I think that is also a great glue, in a relation. That I think, take it in a positive way. That let me work a little more on myself, so that I can make this win-win. It is never about pointing fingers. It was never one about tum theek karo, tum galat karte ho. I think the day you start doing that, I mean, please take a pause. If you think the problem is all outside of you.
Yeah.
I'm saying, even at karmic level, it is your karma that you're going through all this. So I'm just saying that, okay, let's keep that aside. Let's keep that, philosophy theory aside, but just come to a pure action that, hey, nobody is perfect. My boss always says this, no one is a good judge of themselves.
Yeah.
So just look inward, reach at least a point where you can look inward. You need to settle down a little bit, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through your any religion, whether you even go to Gurdwara and do, part there, or you go to a mandir and do some bhandara and all that. I know there will be a point where your frequencies will lower down. You'll calm down. And you can only see things when the dust settles. in a murky water, there's no clarity.
Yeah.
It's only when you let it sit there for some time, let it settle, is you can see things clearly. So I think we both have that clarity now, and Vidu is also very spiritual, and at some levels, she and me are saying the same things, but just in different words, different language.
Karthik, do you believe in equality?
It's a curveball. When we talk about women, then we are supposed to be equal. So like, आज मैंने डायपर बदला है, अगला तुम बदलो, अभी मैंने पॉटी कराई है, अब तुम कराओ. So from that point of view, yes, equality.
Yes.
Like I try to take as much as I can, so that it is just not one person, putting all the efforts in just, I'm not saying otherwise, but in the operations of raising a child. So whether it's dropping to the school or, body wash, earlier it used to be diapers, etc., etc., etc. Somehow I get into the real rough side of this equality, is that there's not equality on a lot of other aspects. Okay. Well, Vidu works and she makes, her living, and I do mine. I don't see there is equality. It's not that she's saving all her money. Of course, she's also spending it on things, that house needs, but there's definitely some deficit of balance. Something which is there, which is a little more on my side, compared to I'm questioned and I'm under constant scrutiny. When it's about, if I'm not delivering my bits, as I said, it could be taking child to the park or school or a hobby class or, all those things. So equality doesn't work for men that way. We'll never be equal, because from Zimmewari, we have to take more. We are made like that. We are genetically designed like that. Like physically, we are made to endure much more physical, challenges compared to women. So there's certain attributes which are on our side, which we have to deliver. And because of this new context of equality coming in, where both husband and wife are working, I do see that there's more required out of us. Now, it's not good and bad, but it is the situation that every household has to manage in its own way. So I only look at it from that point of view, that if I'm working that much harder, then I'm getting that much stronger. It's like I'm lifting more weight, then what's happening end of the day? I'm making bigger, better muscle. So I'm only taking from that point of view that yes, end of the day, there is a more lift on my side. Whether it's financial, and now with the growing up child, especially a boy child who's very physically demanding, who wants me to take him on a bicycle and take him for skating, take him for swimming, do all those things that boys do. And given he's the only child, I'm kind of become his brain. I am his go-to guy for everything. Okay. So a lot of that goes in there. And a lot of other, financial aspect, which is, around me, and the kind of structure that we have at home. So I think good to say equality, but I would say we're not equal, but I feel in our case, there are more deliverables on my side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you work in office, Vidu works in office, right? You both are working simultaneously. You also
Vidu works from home.
Acha.
I go to office, and it's 3 days a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you manage time with Veeraditya?
So while every time when Vidhu has a meeting, it is usually on a day where I am working from home.
Okay.
Because then I can at least pick the child, bring him back, drop him to the school. If she has her, Hyderabad meetings and all that, so she has to fly. So these are days where I am completely taking care of. So we plan it that these are happening on the days when I am working from home. Uh, and if that is not the case, then we would look for help from Vidhu's mom side. Or not in case of my mom side, because my mom has to take care of one more child. That is my dad. He's going through Alzheimer's. So,
Okay.
so there's already a toddler with her. So it has to be Vidhu's mother. So she's very helpful. But so it is very active mix and match that we need to do. Uh, Now, because Vidhu works from home, Veeraditya becomes entirely my zimmewari the moment I enter home.
Hmm.
Because that is the time she then can really concentrate on her things also. So, of course, while Veeraditya goes to school,
Yeah.
she gets her, good free up.
But that time she's working.
At that time, of course, she's working. But then I also understand working from home is challenging. So, and then when he comes back, of course, she picks him back from the school. I drop him. She picks him back. And thankfully, I have flexible hours. So I start my day very early
Okay.
and I come back early.
Okay.
So that's where,
That's amazing, right?
yeah, that's the time I take over Veeraditya completely. So if I'm back by 5:30, उसके बाद वो मेरी जिम्मेवारी है. तो उसकी स्केटिंग क्लास है या उसको पार्क जाना है, उसको घूमने जाना है, वो सब कुछ करना है. That all is me. Sometimes I'm extremely exhausted when I come from work because not everything is the physical. Of course, I'm getting up that much early and driving that much. Thankfully now we've moved to Gurgaon, so commute has become better. But there would be times when I would spend at least 1 hour 40 minutes going to office, 1 hour 40 minutes coming from back office,
And it is tiring.
and it is absolutely
It is
tiring.
tiring.
I have a very demanding work. I work from I don't have a team, so I'm an individual contributor. So I have to do things by myself.
Hmm.
So while we were in Vikaspuri, I would not reach home early. I would reach by 6:37, and then I would just take Veeraditya out for his things, and then Vidhu can do other things and all that. But now I come back early, and then he's with me after 5:30. All that time, everything is to do with me. Then even on a day when I'm working, even on a day I'm not working. Like when I say work from home and work from office. So on both days, I take over him once, it is 5:30 and onward. So again, as I said, the time when I'm completely tired, I have headaches, I have some physical issue or something else.
And we are growing old.
We are growing, we don't grow old.
Yeah.
But I am 42 and sometimes it is just about mind over matter. Literally, someone might say, "Arey bhai, tu koi front pe ladne thodne cha raha hai." But for me, it is equal amount of lift that I probably did during Ananda's time
Hmm.
that I'm doing now. It's just that the context is different.
Yeah.
That time the context was something else. Here the context is, him and him enjoying and having a good time. So, but the time when I'm completely exhausted and completely dusted, but I still kind of suck it up and I bring my game face on and I say, "Chal, let's do it." Because again, I go back. Is that there were times when I could have not done any of that. So, for the pure joy of this, again, converting a challenge into something meaningful. So again, that gives a lot of, strength. Again, I don't come out as someone who's very mentally strong, but I'm good with these mental battles that I fight. Not big ones, but these small ones. I said, okay, we'll do it. And I think that is something which is also visible to the other person also.
Okay.
And that's when, the balance starts to change.
Hmm.
Is that one day she knew that I was very tired and headache and I took him. She couldn't understand. And the guy is really pulling it off this time. So then I came back, tea was ready. She said, "Now you chill, maybe have a drink and you go." So it's very visible. So when you do something, it does reflect.
Yeah.
And then it only comes back in your life in a better way.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's our day to day these days.
you have a son who is 4 plus. I have a son who is 5 plus, right? What is your biggest fear of a father who has a son?
Yeah, I just want him to become a very kind person. For me, everything is kindness. It is the basic raw material that is required to be a good human being. So for me, Virajita, you have to be kind to others. That's a basic. So for him not to be kind is my fear.
Okay. When you say kindness, in which way?
It's the overall gentleness around life, the overall softness, towards human beings, and the way he looks at it, the way sensitivity. Uh, like a child should be sensitive to the environment. If it is a poor, then he should know that if there's someone who's underprivileged, then he is privileged, and if he can do something about it, why not?
Okay.
Small things, give it to him. It's okay. Share one with the other person. That's okay. Tu nange paun reh le. Pass it on. No, but it's okay. I will take care of you. So for me, my biggest fear would be if he's not a kind boy. Yeah, that's my fear for him. Not something else. Every parent would have कि कहीं कुछ ना हो जाए बच्चे को. Not there. But for me, kindness is very important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you teach him? Have you started explaining him about finances, or do you think that he's too young to even understand the small savings that, that maybe, घर पे family से मिले, so maybe उन्होंने 500 का नोट दिया, 1000 रुपए दिया, so you have to save this money. Do you explain him?
Not save that way, but of course, I've got him a coin box. The very beautiful exercise we do is we put a lot of our change there and then we count it.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's an exercise for him counting. We understand you
learn numbers also.
So that's one exercise. Then it is a pain in ass, but I still do that sometimes. Is I play business with him Monopoly.
Okay.
Any
Monopoly.
So at least there is some transaction that he's understanding. He's learning cities and space. He knows Hyderabad. Oh, Mama goes to Hyderabad. He's marked out all the cities that he's visited for a holiday.
Yeah.
And there is transaction, there's exchange, there's denomination. So we started playing business like when he was 4. It's very difficult. We never completed, but we've done that few times. Coin collection, counting money is good exercise. Every time we go to those Thursday markets to buy veggies and other things, he wants to give the money. So when he gives, he gets something back. So for me, these are small places where at least his understanding of transaction is coming. It also is teaching you a little bit of humility. He say thank you and all that. And I notice another guys also say thanks and all. And response to that. For me, I think these are small ways where I'm training about money. Sometimes I say, oh, I don't have money. He said, oh, I have money in my con box. I will buy you. So those are things which which I understand that he's getting, that there's things that money will get you.
Okay. Okay. Does Veeraditya know about Ananda? What is his reaction when you told him the first time, or maybe in daily life? What did he say?
Understood I think he knows the concept of death. I don't know if he understands it.
Okay.
And he's smart enough. Of course, he knows that Anand is not here. So he knows Ananda thi. Or Ananda uski बहन थी. And many times when we are scrolling pictures, he says, oh, ita Ananda hai, ita Ananda thi. And Ananda God ke paas hai. All that basic understanding is there. But maybe there'll be a time when he'll understand this on a slightly deeper level. But see, Ananda's rub-off is also wearing off.
Yeah.
It's not the same what it used to be on year 1. So it is year 4 for us, or more, longer. It was beach May time also. So it's now slowly, gradually weaning off, but she's still part of our photo rolls. See, memories keep up popping up. So yeah, he knows there was a festival. And
you told me last year that Ananda's death anniversary and where the birth date is Hindi Tithi ke hisab se it's same. And I cannot even imagine that what you and Vidu that day, particular day, what you guys go throughout the day, the emotions that you guys have every year. And this will be there throughout your life till the time you are alive. obviously the pain will be little less over the period of time, but that pain will be there. What is that day like for you and Vidhu?
Of course, we are, because these are tithis, so dates are not the same. Whenever Ananda's death anniversary is there, we are silent. You both know. You don't say to each other.
Yeah.
You both pretend that it's just normal day, but we both know that it's a day, and it's on my calendar. So the same writing comes up what I wrote that day. When it's that day, so it says opening of the eyes. So it's also kind of for me to realize, from what I've come. But that's okay, yaar. We have to look forward. You have to, as I said, you can't change destiny, which is behind you. Only thing that I can do is forward, and that's a day for me to understand how fragile life is and how important life is, and how carefully and how diligent we have to be with our lives to use it. So I think it's not a very very heavy day. I think especially after Veerasatta. It's a day which is of course slightly quiet, but then it moves on. And Veerasatta comes in and throws this joy and color and flavor in our life, which is perfect. It balances a lot.
Yeah. Do you and Vidhu fight in front of Veerasatta?
We should not be doing this. But yes, there are moments when our tones, will be not as courteous. And sometimes Veerasatta also gets into this fold, turmoil. It's very natural. If it's windy, then that's gonna fly everywhere and it's gonna get into someone's eyes. So I understand whatever that we do,
he's catching it,
he gets it. So again, it's about one person trying to take the higher part. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's her. But
do you explain him that why this fight happened? Where you wrong or Mama was wrong or no one was wrong?
Very basic way. Sometimes Mummy Papa can fight, but sometimes and you don't get. You can get into an argument just the way you get into argument when some friend takes you or something. So I'm saying very basic level, yeah. Okay, I do, and in fact, honestly, I rather feel guilty after fighting with Vidhu in front of the child, and then it has to be compensated with the child, and Vidhu also does that if that happens, that she would then spend some really good quality time with Veerasatta just for that taste to go off. And thankfully, childs have very quick, they can transition into, next emotion very quickly. But yeah, I would not suggest, that's not recommended. But if that happens, please make it to the child, and, for one of the person has to take a higher path. Maybe handle it later.
Right now, Veerasatta is 4+, but he'll grow, right? He'll get into teenager life, right? How would you explain him men? If you have to explain him men, how would you explain a teenager boy 10 years down the line? What is men? How they should behave? What is the definition of men? Is there a definition of men firstly?
No, for me, let him figure out what kind of man he wants to be. But as I said, for me, the basic ingredients for life is this life and their challenges. You need to learn, you need to deal with them. You need to know this, how to deal with it. After this, if you're dealing them in a good way, then whatever that's coming out of this is right. So for me, it's not about what manhood is or what all other things. For me, it is about challenges and facing them the right way and doing something about them. For me, that action to a problem is more important. For me, that is what life is. The challenge is in their action. The challenge is in action. So that is what I want him to understand. That ability within you to face a challenge and be able to do something about it. If that I'm able to teach him, and it's a lifelong,
Yeah.
challenge. But for me, that is what I want to give to him. Then whatever that becomes out of that is completely, unique to its own. So, and I'm also not a very manly guy, so I want him to have a little sensitive approach to life. For me, crude and rude doesn't work.
Yeah.
So for one thing for sure, I don't want, him, of course, he should go to a gym and, look big, broad, whatever that he wants to do. But for me, the inner strength is more important. The strength of that character is very important. Now, where is that coming from? And that is something that we as parents only can teach child. And I think that's where I would keep my scope of, any add-on that I can do for him. That's my scope of work. Rest is his. He can only give pani, dhoop, and hawa.
Yeah. Grow तो खुद ही करना
वो
होगा.
तो खुद है, वो क्या बनता है, only, that will tell. But like, he's given the riding degree.
You and Vidu have known each other for almost 24 years. What are the 3 things that you absolutely love about her? And 3 things that you absolutely hate about her?
Okay. She's a great host. In greeting people.
This you're telling 3 things that you love about her.
Yeah. So she's great at hospitality. If you guys come over, she would want to do, best of everything. She'll go an extra mile to do all of that. She is also mentally very strong in terms of quickly coming to the worst case scenario and making peace with it. So that is something that she's very good at. And 3, I think the overall, fighting spirit is something which is very good. I yet need to see someone, who can be so resilient, and there's no scope of, there's no plan B. Plan A and plan A is going to work. So that's how she is. What I hate, or maybe hate's a strong word, what I dislike is sometimes her temperament, because of the nature, of that fighting, spirit that she is. It can get a little temperamental, and that can also reflect sometimes in rustic decisions, because you are so full of your angst, so what you do, so it converts into something which is disastrous sometimes quickly. So that is something that I don't like. And I would like her more if she, she starts taking care of health a little more.
Okay.
If she becomes a little more diligent, sometimes she just ignores things, and I really feel like kicking myself because I can't kick her. But then I find myself very logged because she's not taking good care of her health.
Okay. What has been seen that after a certain period of time, when a relationship grows older, the love that was there initially, or the flirt, or the that छेड़ना थोड़ा बहुत ये सब करना, कहीं ना कहीं वो fade out हो जाता है due to responsibilities, right? Do you guys still flirt with each other, or has it fade out completely?
Well, Vidu doesn't flirt with me for sure. Okay. But I will do pinch a bump off and on. But of course, it's not as romantic as it should be. And sometimes over drinks, I do open up to her, saying that, this is what I need, and this is the emotional, fluff that I need. And she understands. We do hold hands driving and all that. And I find that need a little more than her. But that's okay. I mean, we all are designed, different. So I'm quite expressive that way. If we had a fight and I'm driving, and I'll be the one who'll, try and hold her hand and she push it. So we make that effort, but it's not the same, of course.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not at all the same, but I guess that's how things.
What is more important to you? Paisa, respect, or family?
Yeah, I mean, all are important.
If you have to rank paisa, respect, and family,
I think
how would you rank?
first, yeah, because family hai to tum ho.
Hmm.
You know, like respect for parent, gratitude, their long life is my first prayer. You know, because you cannot repay the debt of gratitude to your parents. Can never. You only can pass it on. So, not my concept. This is a Buddhist concept again. This debt of gratitude is the far foremost option. And then money can come and go. So then, for me, it's family and relationship.
So
And
family, respect, and money.
yeah, because money तो आ जाएगा यार. मतलब नहीं भी आएगा, थोड़ी दिक्कत होगी कि चेंज होगी. But अगर प्यार है, मोहब्बत है, तो you'll also sail through this, time. So that's my order. Yeah.
Okay. We often hear that in a relationship, respect is the most important thing. For you, what does respect means?
I think respect means to able to see what I'm doing for the family.
Okay.
Whether it's small things, big things. For me, I'm not saying appreciation, but recognition.
Okay.
Acknowledging that I know you're tired, but you have to do this. That's okay. That's more than enough for me. I don't want you to compensate it by taking another big task. That okay, I did this, now you do this. Just acknowledge कि हाँ मैं थका हुआ है तो तुम्हें कहा चल बोल I know please कर दो ना यार I need you.
Okay.
So I think it's somewhere empathy and respect both.
Okay.
Yeah. For me these are two important.
Okay. What would you teach V's, religion or spirituality?
यार spirituality I mean religion बाद में है पहले तो prayer थी. So for me that spirituality is this your way of connecting with universe and your prayers are understood from this only. So I think spirituality I mean that's first thing. Yeah.
What is spirituality to you?
Spirituality to me is I think understanding this life is very rare and it is really a freak of nature, universe, anomalies that you're here. It's a rarest of the rarest of the rarest thing. That is spirituality. This life itself is spirituality. I can see the wonders. That there's a wonder that I am here, is alive. The universe has gone to billions of changes for me to be here and alive in this form, to understand this, to understand salt, taste, sex. It is very divine for me. For me, this is spirituality.
Do you think grief brings out the fear in someone, or the grief makes someone more guarded?
I think in my case, grief is the raw material for you to transform yourselves. There's nothing called human revolution. It's not a long-term thing. Revolution is instant, that moment. Grief is your raw material for that. Only when you have pain and other challenges, miseries, you understand what is that you need to do with your life. So for me, grief is a very important ingredient for you to start evolving as a human being.
But what if someone does not have that kind of grief, what you have gone through?
Yeah, so let's replace grief with challenge then. Because at the end of the day, the byproduct of grief is difficulty, is pain, is tears, is frustration, and all of that. I'm saying we all have these ingredients in our life. So for me to this is all the raw material that I need to process it and make it into an opportunity for me to shine and become a very valid proof of what I do.
Now, if if someone is watching this episode, what is the one thing you want to tell a dad or a man who is going through something tough in his life, so that they can they can feel motivated. They shouldn't feel that they are they are lonely, they are alone, but there is someone who has also gone through the same problem, same grief. What would you like to say to them?
Uh, I'm not a life coach, but I have seen fair bit of life. Uh, and as long as there is hope, there is life.
Okay.
And as long as there is life, there is hope. So if you're alive, then there is hope for you to make a better life out of it. If you're dead, then there is no hope.
Yeah.
Then you would not even worry about what are you. Then you are in the you're in the body of universe. But for me, if you're alive, then that means there's that much possibility for you to change things. As I said, ना सिपाही है, फ्रंट पे है, गोली तो चली रही है, अब या तो कायर बुजदिल होके गोली खा लो, या अगर निकलोगे, सोचोगे, समझोगे, लड़ोगे, तो शायद ये लड़ाई जीत भी जाओ. बट अगर लड़ोगे नहीं तो जियोगे कैसे? You know, so for me, hope is life, and this was a guidance given to me during my most difficult time. It said, as long as there is life, there is hope, and as long as there is hope, there is life. So I think don't let go of that hope. Keep fighting, keep challenging it. You'll come out.
Okay. Thank you so much, Karthik. It was a wonderful podcast.
Thank you, Shravan.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who is watching this podcast. If you have any questions, any suggestions, you can always DM me or mail me, and I'll be happy to take it up in the next interview. Thank you so much for your time.